What does this action signify? As you entered, when you looked at the other human, what does it mean?
It's a sign of trust. It's a human thing. You wouldn't understand.
My father tried to teach me human emotions. They are difficult.
You mean
Hello, my name is Jonas Gonzalez. I am a PhD student at the Italian Institute of Technology. Today I will present you our work on a bio-inspired cognitive architecture for autonomous learning of face localization with a humanoid robot. In social interaction, the detection of faces is an important vector of information that individuals use every day in society. Faces guide our social interaction and allow us to get important information such as the age, sex, understand other emotion, and even help us in speech recognition. The ability to detect and focus on faces is crucial to engage in social interaction, and it is therefore a fundamental skill for robots. But how does human learn to detect faces? Neuroscientists and psychologists have been investigating how babies learn to detect faces, and it has been shown that they rely on innate mechanisms that guide the development of a specific brain area. So what are these innate mechanisms that babies rely on to focus on faces? These specific skills has been rooted in low-level attentional mechanism. For example, babies show preferences for specific visual features such as contrast, symmetry, which are characteristics of faces. Moreover, babies are also more sensitive to human voices than to any other sounds. Spatial alignment of these low-level attentional cues results in a preference for baby to direct their focus to a nervy talking human face. Researchers have already developed models for face detection with outstanding results, but they usually rely on a huge hand-annotated dataset. Unfortunately, sometimes the dataset can suffer from bias introduced in the data collection, which impact the resulting model. A way to overcome this limitation is to allow robots to learn from their experience and adapt to the environment they are exposed to. In this work, we propose to reproduce how infants acquire the different ability through constant interaction with the environment and other humans with the iCub robot. But how can we reproduce the way baby learns on a humanoid robot? How can we make robots learn to detect faces from their experiences? Robots, thanks to their sensor, can acquire a huge amount of data while interacting, but these data are not organized to perform classical learning. Usually, in supervised learning, the labelization process is done by humans, but this is time-consuming and limits the autonomy of robots in the learning process. This is why we designed a bio-inspired cognitive architecture to enable the iCub robot to autonomously gather and learn from the data coming from its sensor. We use a combination of two attentional mechanisms, a visual and an auditory one. These two attentional mechanisms allow to direct the robot focus on faces. As represented in the diagram, the point of focus is then passed to a vergence and segmentation module to extract the silent region from the background. Finally, the extracted mask is used to track and collect evidences into a dataset. To replicate naturalistic interaction as they could happen with baby, we create a game-like scenario where people had to find iCub's favorite objects. People needed to attract the robot attention and then find iCub's favorite object to make it happy. The purpose of having a game-like scenario was to demonstrate the importance of the low-level attentional mechanism to direct the robot focus on faces as it could happen with babies. This is the point of view from iCub cameras. The two attentional mechanisms were integrated into a single silency map. As illustrated in this example, the combination of auditory and visual attention converge toward the faces. This is not a priori encoded. The robot autonomously focuses on the face as it is the region with the maximum silency, because while attracting the robot attention, people naturally call him and move hand to make the robot gaze at them. When the attentional module converged toward a stable point of interest, the vergence mechanism was used to align the focus at the same location on both cameras. This process is inspired by the way the human focus on objects and helps to perform segmentation. The silent region exhibits zero disparity, whereas the rest of the scene usually doesn't. And this particularity helped to segment the region from the background, as you can see on the video. At this point, the robot was able to track the participant faces. It also exhibited a side face to emphasize the need to find the robot far-right object. From the video, you can see that participants present the object to the robot while he was tracking their faces and collecting data. The interest of having a natural scenario is also to produce a diversity of data, as sometimes people were covering partially their faces while presenting the object to the robot and moving to take the object. We ran this experiment with 10 participants, leading to the automatic creation of a dataset of approximately 2,000 instances of faces, which we used to train a deep object localization network. The process is completely autonomous and we didn't process the data. As you can see from this sample of the dataset, in some cases, circled in red and yellow, the process was not perfect and produced bad data points, covering the upper body or missing part of the face. To address the face localization problem, we use a deep neural network. We use a faster RCNN network with the Inception backbone already trained on the COCO dataset. Our choice was guided by a trade-off between accuracy and speed due to the need to run the system in a real time on the robot. As these networks need a consequent amount of data to perform well, we choose to use a transfer learning approach and exploit the pre-trained network as a generic feature extractor. To test our trained network, we first built our own test set. We recorded video from the iCub cameras during a public visit to our laboratory and annotated manually the images of visitor faces. We choose to test our system with scenarios that the robot will normally encounter, as meeting people in our laboratory environment. The test set was composed of 150 data points chosen randomly from the recording. We compare our model with the Viola-Joyce face detection algorithm as baseline. We compute the mean average precision with 50% intersection of union to evaluate our model and achieve a score of 48%. As the network sometimes recognizes not only the faces but also part of the upper body, as you can see on these samples, we relax the intersection of union to 40% and get a map score of 63%. In both cases, our network outperformed the baseline algorithm. To further validate our results, we test our network on the Face in the Wild benchmark dataset. This is a more challenging dataset as the faces are really different from the training data the robot experiences and are presented in different environments. Our network performed reasonably well and reached a map score of 43% with an intersection of union of 50% and goes to 64% when relaxing the intersection of union to 40%. Our network in this challenging test set outperformed the baseline by a large amount. It is worth noting that this was achieved without any supervision in the creation and labelization of the dataset and results from the autonomous learning of the robot from his experience. While the trained network doesn't reach state-of-the-art performance when compared to other deep networks, these results are encouraging because we show that it is possible to use bio-inspired processes to guide the learning of robots. The data gathered automatically during a game-like interaction can be used to train a deep network that successfully learns to detect faces and generalize to new scenarios. Finally, this process doesn't require human supervision, so it can be run for a longer period of time to collect more and more evidences to improve the performances. We think that making robots learning as baby does from their environment and interacting with others is important to develop more autonomous robots. Moreover, allowing robots to learn from their experiences can be a solution for the need of consequent amount of data to train deep network. Actually, as during the game participants cover part of their faces while trying to find iCub object, our network is robust enough to detect faces with masks. Thank you for your attention. You can find here our group of research and learn more about our project.